are you doing this morning?
Mike, I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. Listen, I'm very excited to talk with you. I'm expecting nothing but the Banu experience, openness and honesty, because we got a lot to spill about. It was a very eventful 9 days of the game.
M- What a 9 days! What 9 days! It's a experience of a lifetime, and I would cherish for the rest of my life.
Well, we talk about these 9 days. Let's start with the last one because we get this really unique experience after the challenge of you, from our perspective, basically going through the 5 stages of grief. You're in denial, hunting for the idol. You're in anger, basically telling God, like, why did you put me here? You're in bargaining. You're down on your knees, asking Tiffany for some help. And then you're finally at acceptance and realizing that, okay, your time is done. How similar was your experience during that time to what we saw? What was that afternoon like for you?
You summed it up, Mike. That afternoon was definitely all of those emotions because I was like, can I convince them to keep me in the game? And I just want to like backpedal a little bit. When I told Tiffany about and Q about the journey, I want to be open and honest with them because what if on day 8 they go on a journey and find out that I got so emotional and said something about the tribe from other tribes. Rather than that, I was like, hey, Tiffany and Q, this is what I said. But if you keep me in the game, I'm I'm being as open and honest with you. I'm gonna be your ride or die. We will go to the merge, we will get it to the merge, and we will be in the final three because you've seen me in the challenges. Mike, after 10 shoulder surgeries, 10 shoulder dislocations and one major surgery just a few months before the show, I was competing right next to Q, who is a professional player.
Hmm.
I did not even whimper. I did not even say, oh my God, I can't play. Oh my God, I can't. No, I was right next to Q doing exactly what that man he's doing. Doesn't he talk, how much this game mean to me? I will give it my all for this game. And and that's what you've seen. Strategic wise, my strategy was just be honest with the team. Once I get to the merge, no one can stop me.
Mm. Yeah, what
That
what
was the thing.
what was your plan when you got to the merge? Let's say that Yanu was able to sort of like build a streak after that reward challenge win, and the four of you make the merge. Now, you did want to promise yourself to people like Tiffany and Q. At the same time, it's clear that you thought they were masterminds. Kenzie was the puppet master. How would you balance that? What were you looking to do should you make it to that individual game?
I was thinking that I can work with Q and Tiffany. I can sort of like, because they're like, they're beasts, they're challenge beasts. So I can sort of like, be there, but also, have them as targets as much as I can. I was thinking all, many scenarios. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, but it didn't happen. But I was like, okay, if I get to the merge, then for the individual immunity challenges, I can do it.
Well,
So
yeah, that situation would have seen you meet perhaps some familiar faces in Ben and Liz, who, as you mentioned, you to open up to them, I think would be an understatement. So I'm intrigued because the way you expressed it to them was that, you didn't realize, I think, in the moment what sort of repercussions there would have been, and for lack of a better term, sort of the damage you had caused to their reputations. So talk me through your thinking in the moment when you're standing in front of that table with that bag of rocks. What caused you to just be so open about everything that was happening on Yanu?
so what happened was after Jess is gone, we were like, okay, probably we will go ahead and win this challenge, and and maybe I can see a glimmer of hope. But that didn't happen because we lost again, and I was always on the out. So we lost the game, we were on the out, and I was so emotional and raw because we just lost another major challenge. I get to the island, And because there was no way for me to just like get it out of my system, because even on the Yanu tribe, when I cry and or anything, they were like, "You're too emotional. You're too weak," or something like that. So I was like, "Okay, I can't do that on the tribe. So I just gonna like I just need to get it out of the system." When I saw Ben and Liz, I was like, "Dude, this is what's happening. We've lost again, and it seems like I'm going to go home." I didn't think like, okay, what I'm saying or doing will impact the game moving forward. But I just wanted to get it out of my system, and that's exactly what I did. And I was like just honest, as you see.
How much did losing your vote affect the way that you approach the rest of your game? Because it's a small tribe, four people can't even play your shot in the dark. Did that contribute to your motto of just like, well, I'm dead in the water. I can't even cast a vote to save myself?
Well, your vote is everything in Survivor. Once you lose your vote, you got nothing. You losing your vote, you're losing in the challenges. There is nowhere to hide. You either need someone who you can like say you're my ride or die, who can help you, take you forward in the game. I don't have that. I'm not in the group of three. Lost my vote, lost the challenge. There is nowhere for me to hide.
Hmm.
And 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 that's the reason why I was like, I'm trying to work with them and say like, hey, I wanted to be honest with you, and this is what happened, but just give me that one chance, and I'm going to prove it to you all that I'm going to work with y'all, and you can trust me, so we can just like propel to the move forward. But
Yeah, talk to me
the
about you didn't necessarily have a ride or die, but I would love to hear out of the other three because we obviously saw you seem to be closer with Q during the Jess vote, and he was obviously giving you a bit of words of wisdom. But Kenzie very much seemed like someone you could sort of like emotionally rely on, even if she is the mermaid dragon. Who were you closest with on Yanu by the time you had left the game?
Actually, the one thing I want to tell you is that I'm very close to Jess. Jess is like my sister, and she's like my best friend on the Yanu beach. There were certain moments me and Jess have shared, and which fans didn't get to see, but she's my sister, and I was so sad that in the second challenge I yelled her name, and I apologized to Jess, and we were all yelling at each other, but that wasn't cool. And I apologize to Jess and the fans of Jess. I apologize to you all, and I hope you forgive me for that.
What about of the people that were left in the game by the time you left? Who would you say you were the tightest with or felt the best about out of those other three?
I would say I was talking to Q a lot after Jess's vote. But again, what happened was, Mike, there was no coordination and not no proper communication, lack of empathy. That's what it is. Coordination and communication, lack of empathy is the reason why Yanu kept losing. When we lost, we just didn't sit as a tribe and like, what are we doing wrong? Where are we going wrong? Let's talk as a tribe. And there were no those heartfelt conversations. And that's where it is. When you're distant from your family and friends, you're somewhere in the Fijian jungle with with strangers you just trying to know and become friends with. If they kind of like set you aside, that takes a toll on you, and that's what you've seen. Like there's no one to talk to, no one who can empathize. And when we lost, there was no like a communication and say like, what are we doing wrong? Let's sit and think, calm ourselves. That's not there. So yeah, coordination, communication, and a calmness
Well,
to approach.
perhaps on the opposite side of that calmness, I need to talk about you at Tribal Council, because I was there for that first Tribal Council. I even watched at that moment your oh, it's time to vote. Your upfrontness and ability to, as Tiffany would say, make the block hot. Was that something that you surprised yourself with? What was that thinking that allowed you in the few tribal councils you went to just be so open about everything that was going on?
Mike, I need to say this. Communication is something which is I struggle with, because the communication style I grew up with, like I grew up in India. It's only 10 years ago I moved to the US, and there are certain expressions and certain words which I'm not familiar with, because as a native speaker, there is a subtlety which with which you say certain words. Maybe that could be a code word, and the native speakers would understand. I lack that ability. So when I say I can speak English fluently, I don't have a problem with that. But there are like certain expressions which the native speakers know, which someone who learned English as a second language wouldn't. That's where I felt like I was getting a hit. And when I'm in front of Jeff Probst, I cannot lie to my guru. I respect the man so much. The reason why I'm on that show is because of Jeff Probst. And when he asked me a question, I was like, this is what it is. And I'm being honest and open about it and not even thinking. So that's what you saw. Just like an
Yeah.
honest.
Well, what I'm really intrigued by is that, again, we even see at the beginning of this episode, like, you are getting lessons as to how to be coy at tribal council. But then there's also a confessional where you are saying that they're kind of making you a puppet. They're making you more mechanical, and that's not something you necessarily like. So, what was your reaction where, admittedly, you're sort of acknowledging your faults in the game, but at the same time, you don't know if you necessarily want to remove that Banu aspect of your personality?
No, I didn't want to remove the Banu aspect of how I played the game, because Mike, I'm a super fan of the show. I watched every episode of every season. Okay, I watched every episode of every season as a super fan. When I watch the show and when I see all these different players, I felt like that's not how I want to play. Why is there is only one way of playing the game? Why can't we play an honest game? I want to try. Was I Am I a failure? I read a quote saying that you're not a failure if you have tried.
Mm.
So there you go. I want to play a Banu game. I want people to see and see me. Okay, people who play Survivor, they can be honest too. I don't want to be people who scared because of like an, oh my God, he's on Survivor and he could be conniving and all of that. No, I want to bring the human aspect, and that's what you've seen. And Mike, I want to leave you with I want to tell you the story. Last night after my vote off, a fan messaged me and said that then when they were watching the show, her 7-year-old daughter turned to her and was like, "Mom, why are they voting Banu off? All he wanted is million hearts, not $1 million." Mike, you have children, right?
I do. I have a 4-year-old, yes.
If your children turns to you and say that, ask you that question, isn't that something? Don't you think I've succeeded in that? Just think about, as a father, like your son or your daughter turn to you and say like, why are they voting Banu off? He doesn't want $1 million, he wants million hearts. I won that little girl's heart. That means more to me. Mike, I grew up on streets. It's only 10 years ago I moved to the US. I know the real value of money. I
Mm.
know. And when people say like, oh, if you don't want to, you want $1 million, why are you on the show? Money is not about everything. It's money is not the end of it, be it end all. I want to be on the show because I'm representing the people from my country. I'm representing the people of color. I'm representing people of the queer community. I'm representing people with English as a second language. I'm representing so many things. I want them to see that if Banu could do it, if Banu can get himself out of poverty from all the abuse I've gone through, be it the physical abuse, the sexual abuse for many, many years, the emotional abuse, the verbal abuse, but still get a college degree, get a job in the US, and now becoming a proud citizen of this country and get to be on Survivor. I feel like I've succeeded in life.
Hmm.
I've gone through life with honesty, hard work, and being humble. because
Mhm.
growing up on streets, that's what it is. So when I was on Yanu tribe, my mind went back to me being on streets because that's how I was. Be in the rain, be in everything. So when I saw my tribe mates, I was like, oh my God, you guys are my family. I can't lie and backstab. Let's play the game together. So Survivor kind of like, shook the original Bhanu, and that's what the super fans have seen. I'm so sorry that I didn't play the game you envisioned Bhanu to play, but I played the game I came to play.
Yeah. That the thing is that I don't know if you've seen, but people have discovered your IMDb profile and they're like, "Oh, was what Bono was doing was just an act." I mean, as someone who spoke with you in person and is talking with you now, that is not the case. Not to besmirch your acting abilities, but just to see like the true personality of you speak through and that energy that I think has gotten you through some terrible situations into the life you lead today, that got you out on the island through some terrible situations there. As you mentioned, was it the ideal game? No, not necessarily. But sounds like you won one heart. You won one heart here as well. 999,998 to go, Banu. You're off to a good start.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you for the love and support. I want to take a moment to thank CBS, my guru, Jeff Probst, to the entire Survivor team who worked tirelessly day and night and for giving us an amazing season. To all my fellow contestants, I love you all, from one super fan to all the super fans. I love your love and support. Thank you so much.
Of course. Well, all the best to you and your partner and everyone in your life, Banu. Thank you so much again and can't wait to see what happens next. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Bye.